Good evening and welcome. We'd like to call the meeting to order, the special meeting of the San Bruno City Council. Roll call, please. Do we have a clerk?
I said I would do the roll call. Councilmember O'Connell.
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra. Vice Mayor Ibarra.
Here, here.
Councilmember Medina.
Here.
Councilmember Salazar.
Here.
Mayor Ruane.
Here. Item number 2 is public comment on items not on the agenda. Would anyone like to address the council? Yes. Stand up at the podium, please, and give us your name and street.
Hi, my name is Naweed, 3rd Avenue, and I'd like to bring to the council's attention 3 issues of concern that I have. They may be minor, but I like to bring them out anyway. Regarding the notice of this event, incorrect information was distributed on the website, and if I may present before you. And this is regarding what's posted on the city's website. And once we click on the left column, as you can see, it states City Council Special Meeting. Once we click on that, on the second picture below, it incorrectly lists the city clerk's phone number. So I'm just letting you be aware. It's not a huge huge deal, but it's enough to because the city clerk functions as the custodian of the records of San Bruno. Should any citizens of San Bruno, as well as the general public, have questions, they need to be able to get in touch with the city clerk.
Let me just say something. I looked at the city's website today and clicked on the calendar for today, and it came right up with the PDF with the agenda and everything.
Right, but this is posted directly on the city's website. Most people, inherently will go to the city's website and go from there. And the other request I would like the city council to consider is if you look at the second picture, see how it says date and description? Perhaps within that, putting a link there directly to the agenda item. So for example, in the city's website, you see upcoming events. Every time you have a meeting, special meeting, what have you, once we click on it, have the link right then and there, so we can get access, like you said, to the PDF document. And the second concern of mine was, I've looked at the biographies of each of you. You have biographies and you have a picture. That's great. But also, we as the public have a right to know when the exact date of your terms began and when they exactly end. And I understand some of you put something like November 2013, but put the exact date if it's not too much to ask. After all, we are residents of San Bruno and citizens as well. We do have a right to know exactly when your term begins to the exact day that it ends. And then the third item I'd like to bring to attention is regarding, there's been a lot of talk about the PG&E settlement. And I understand that you publish San Bruno account balances, such as the general fund and various other funds on the website as part of your PDF document. So I'd like, as a suggestion to you, please post an account statement of the PG&E settlement, whether it's in a special trust fund, regardless of where it's at. Post an account balance, post a PDF. Obviously you can redact sensitive information such as account numbers, things like that. That's logical, that's very doable, but please post as a PDF so we know, okay, here's what PG&E has given you or has given you access to. We'd like to see that as an account statement. And one last thing would be in your general meetings, over at the senior center, I'd like to advise, I understand that you usually have a tablecloth, and I believe it's a dark color tablecloth. One suggestion, this is again a suggestion, by no means you have to adopt it, but one advice would be on the tablecloths would be, if I may approach, would be just to have something, some simple City of San Bruno logo, and then perhaps the city website, just as a professional, to maintain a professional atmosphere and good morale, and it's a good spirit item, just to have a tablecloth that says, once again, it says City of San Bruno with the city's logo, and then has the city's website on the bottom, so that those of us who view it on YouTube, there's more people who view it on YouTube than just are able to actually attend, can at least see that this, there's a spirit going on, there's a professional manner in which city council meetings are presented. Again, it's just a suggestion. By no means are you required by any law, ordinance, or statute to, purchase such an item. And thank you.
All right, thank you. Item number 3, conduct of business review, recommended fiscal year 2012-13 capital improvement program budget and fiscal year 2012-17 capital improvement program. And we would encourage, prior to the presentations, to ask questions and discuss, even as brief as they may be. So, City Manager, you're on.
Good. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you, first of all, Mr. Mayor, for encouraging the City Council to ask questions and to engage in discussion. Fundamentally, the study session is about your interests. It's our intent tonight to present a brief overview and summary of the capital improvement program and the capital improvement program budget for the coming year, fiscal, or the current year, 12-13. The purpose of our study session tonight is to give you, again, the opportunity to discuss among yourselves and to ask questions about any and all of the projects, and to give you an overview so that you can make an informed decision in considering the program and the budget for adoption. We intend, depending on the information that may come out of this discussion tonight, to have this item on your agenda at the next regular meeting or as soon thereafter as possible. The capital budget is part of the annual budget process that the City Council undertakes. One in the operating budget, which was completed in June, and secondly with the capital budget, which is intended both to provide a 5-year planning horizon of projects that are necessary, as well as a 1-year work and financing program. And it's that we'll be talking to you about tonight. So just as a little bit of background from big picture perspective, the city operates a number of different services across the board, from public safety to public services, water and sewer services to the public, administrative services, recreation services, etc. In order to support all of those important and necessary services, the city is tasked with maintaining a very broad and very important profile of infrastructure. Much of that infrastructure is below ground, water and sewer pipes, but actually a great deal of it is also above ground, including our street lights, our buildings, and a number of our facilities, our pump stations and water tanks and that type of thing that support the services that we provide. On the screen in our PowerPoint presentation, you can see that it is really a very, very large number of both facilities as well as miles of above and below ground infrastructure that is necessary in order to continuously provide the services that are important to our citizens. Purpose and priorities from a big picture perspective of this capital program is to maintain and optimize the useful life of the city's infrastructure, as I just mentioned, to make sure that that infrastructure remains in good repair and serviceable in order to support the necessary services that the city provides. The capital budget and the work program is also intended to protect the city's very substantial investment in those capital assets, to make sure that not only are they available and ready to service the city's activities, but also to make sure that they don't deteriorate to the point where the city's financial investment is compromised. And the budget and the program, the capital improvement program, are intended to allow the City Council, with recommendations from staff, to plan for and to prioritize the delivery of the necessary capital projects, which meet the criteria for the first two items, and to identify and prioritize funding sources that are necessary in order to deliver the capital improvements that are required. A number of issues need to be addressed each year as we evaluate both the update of the 5-year program as well as we look at the 1-year funding as well as work program. In this case, for fiscal year 12-13, we look at a number of different aspects of the program. In this particular set of circumstances, this year, one of the key issues that we've evaluated, and actually a key issue that we look at all the time, is funding. How do we put together the necessary funds in order to make sure that the program that is needed can be delivered? This year, for the first time, it is necessary for us to take a critical look at how do we address the loss of redevelopment agency funding, which, as the City Council is aware, has been a key component of the city's both short and long-term capital program planning, at least in recent years. Another critical issue that you'll hear more about tonight, and that I think requires some additional attention, both in this budget as well as beyond the adoption of this budget and work program, is the need for the city to take a strong and thoughtful look at the long-term need for facilities maintenance, repair, and replacement planning. This is a topic that the city has wrestled with over the last actually several years, where we have good solid work programs and master plans for our water, sewer, and even our street systems. What we have really not had set our arms around quite so tangibly is the planning and the funding of necessary repair, rehabilitation, and replacement of our buildings. For example, this building, our recreation center, our fire stations, etc. And that's a topic, again, that we'll talk with you a little bit further about this evening. Before I turn over the discussion tonight to the other members of our team, I wanted to just outline how this program was put together and some of the previous planning documents that the city has prepared and that we've utilized for strategizing and prioritizing some of the critical decision making that goes into both our proposal of this budget and work program to you, as well as your decision to consider it for approval. Listed on the slide in front of you are a number of different types of documents, both policy as well as master planning type documents that the city has prepared over the years and maintains it, and has updated. City Council is very aware of our thoughtful process for maintaining water and sanitary sewer system master plans. We're in the process now of completing a multi-year process to update the plans that were originally put into place in the year 2000. But we thought that perhaps the City Council may not fully appreciate the extent to which you have and staff has actually done a lot of strategic planning in addition to those master plans that guides and informs the development of the capital work program and the capital budget. And some of those are listed on the slide in front of you. For example, our transit corridor plan, our traffic calming programs, our rate study for the water and sewer enterprises, and a wide variety of other types of policy and planning documents that you have been involved with developing and approving over the past several years. Our program, our approach tonight to the overview of the capital improvement program We'll utilize we'll utilize presentations by a number of different staff members as we work through the budget and the capital program in the various sections as they are shown in the printed document that you have in front of you. We've asked each of the staff members who've been asked to present items to you tonight to be concise in their comments so that we have plenty of time for the City Council to ask questions or to engage in discussion. We would encourage you to do that after. You're welcome to ask questions during the presentations, but we would encourage you as well to take a moment at the end of each topic section. So for example, we'll present the Water Capital Program, and then you'll have an opportunity to either talk among yourselves or ask questions. But certainly, again, feel free to stop at any point where we can help clarify, or there's something that you would like to discuss with your colleagues. Our finance director will give you an overview of the financial aspects of the program, and then we'll work through each of the topic areas as I've just outlined.
Before I jump into the financials, I wanted to bring your attention to a project which was distributed prior to the start of the meeting this evening, the pedestrian bridge. This is a project that has appeared in previous CIP program budgets. In the former redevelopment agency section of the budget. It was inadvertently dropped from the budget that's before you tonight, the proposed budget. So the project that is before you is one that we would recommend including in the proposed budget moving forward. So moving into the 5-year capital program, the dollars, it's a $111 million program with just over $20 million of that amount dedicated to the ongoing recovery of the Crestmore neighborhood, which leaves a $91 million remaining for the rest of the CIP programs that are up there this evening, the categories. Of that $91 million, just over 3/4 of that amount, just over $70 million, is dedicated to the water and wastewater programs. And as you might recall, this is consistent with the program for water and wastewater that was presented with the rate study. The water program anticipated an $84 million capital improvement program over 10 years, and the wastewater anticipated a $75 million program over those 10 years. So those amounts are consistent with what was presented to you with the rate study proposal. In the remaining areas outside of water and wastewater, obviously far smaller dollar amounts. One caveat to that is, I think one thing that you'll hear from us this evening is the need for us to do a better job of sort of forecasting the 5-year program when it comes to areas such as technology and the parks and facilities. I think we have made a first step effort towards presenting you with a more thoughtful 5-year program in the parks and facilities area, which we'll talk about a little bit later this evening. But in technology, as you can see, the program, the $273,000, it represents the current year amount and really doesn't forecast what the needs are going to be for the next 5 years in that realm. So that's something that staff is going to continue to work on as we continue to develop this 5-year program. Moving into the 2012-13 budget request. The proposed budget for the current year presents a $33 million work program, with just over $11 million of that being carryover appropriations from either the prior CIP budget or previous council action. The 2012-13 request amounts to just over $22 million, and I think one of the more astonishing aspects of the dollars and cents of this is that of that $33 million, there are 31 different funding sources coming in to build that $33 million. It's presented on page 10 and 11 of your budget. So what that demonstrates is really the effort by staff to continue to look for grant opportunities where available, and also to utilize restricted revenue sources, donations that might come in, technology fee, etc., monies that are collected for specific projects and purposes, and to make sure that we're utilizing those funds where needed. the CIP budget that.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah,
I'm
of course.
looking at Marion here. Are we? We're not live, right? Okay. So when this gets taped and it shows, as much as she's been pointing at you talking, the question is, what are our viewers able to see? Will they be able to? Will you be able to split screen? Okay. Okay. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you. You can edit that out. There is technology at its best. Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. So moving on, the CIP budget that is before you this evening contains a number of proposed changes from previous year CIP budgets. These changes are being proposed in order to consolidate and reduce the number of projects that are included in the budget and to categorize them in a way that makes more sense. So the first area in which a proposed change is occurring is with projects which we are proposing to merge or rename. And the thought behind this is really in looking through the previous year budgets, we found that we had a number of projects that were of similar work efforts, but were different projects by virtue of it being Pump Station 4 versus Pump Station 6, even though some of the work effort is similar. So the thought was in the current year proposed CIP budget was to present those in a consolidated format, understanding that those are projects that many of them are projects that will continue for quite some time and just have different work efforts appearing each year. Same thought process with the street medians, and then probably the biggest change was the city facilities replacement project. Whereas we used to have a number of individual projects for new city facilities, this project actually just brings all those into one project and provides additional detail about each of those facilities. Additional proposed changes to the CIP budget include there are some projects that have been identified that we believe are better suited for the operating budget. And the thought behind that is really these are mainly plans and studies that occur. Many of them are occurring in the enterprise budgets. The thought was rather than have those appearing in the capital program, because there's not really a capital asset that's remaining at the end of those projects, was to move those to the operating budget going forward. Another area of projects, which not really a change, but just a note that 25 projects have been completed since the last CIP budget was presented to the City Council. And those projects were listed in the city manager's transmittal letter. And finally, eliminated projects. There are a handful of projects which staff recommended eliminating or defunding at this time to allow for more higher priority projects to be able to move forward. However, on that topic, one project that is proposed to be defunded at this time is the Community Facilities Master Plan, which remains an important item, and it's one that we're going to come back to towards the end of the presentation. So with that, I will hand it over to Water.
On? Hello? Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council members. Everything I'm presenting tonight for this year's CIP is in line with the Water System Master Plan that will be presented to Council in the next 3 or 4 months. The Water CIP priority focus is driven by the distribution system needs and by the age of the infrastructure. The water mains average 100 water leaks per year, and the age of the mains are 60 to 120-year-old. The tanks in the systems are 42 to 61 years old and are in need of replacement or seismic retrofits. All 5 wells continue to be repaired and rehabilitated over the years under the well rehabilitation program. The oldest well, built in 1984, has been taken out of service due to low production rate, and we will need to replace that. The water pump station improvement replacement project will maintain adequate pumping capacities throughout the distribution system. One pump station that was built in 1957 will be replaced to meet all capacity and fire flow standards under the CIP. Here are some of the following capital projects for 2012-13 work plan. College Pump Station number 4 was constructed in 1957, is the only supply source of water to the college area, and will be replaced with a new pump station. The new station will have a 40% more pumping capacity than the old station will, and meet all fire flow requirements. Replacement of tank number 3, the oldest tank in the system, built in 1951, a pre-stressed concrete tank that feeds water to pressure zone 7 on Crestmore Drive. The 2 million gallon tank is no longer structurally sound and can only maintain and hold a 50% of max capacity. Well number 15 on Commodore Drive was built in 1984. It is the oldest well out of the 5 wells. Replacement of this well ensures adequate groundwater supply and will maintain the 50-50 production to purchase ratio to meet daily water demands. And that concludes my short presentation. You got any questions on any of the projects?
Any questions or comments at this time? Rico?
Not at this time.
No. Thank you.
Irene?
Thank you. What?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I'm not sure if this is the time to do it, but we're doing the renewable energy study for utility, right? So as we're doing, looking at these capital improvements for all of these things, are we also or you obviously, evaluating any opportunities to use solar or any other kind of renewable energy for each of the pieces?
Go ahead, Claire. Claire can probably answer better.
Should we?
It is our intent to analyze and to incorporate in our design goals and objective for each of those major replacement projects.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's a interesting
Okay.
one.
Anyone else? All right, thank you.
All right.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, Connie, Kim, and Clara. My name is Wing Wong, and I'm the associate engineer. And tonight I'm here to present the capital improvement program for wastewater and stormwater. The overall objective of the wastewater capital improvement program is to improve the collection, the transmission, and the treatment of wastewater. And the guidance document that we used in implementing the program include the sewer master plan, state regulations, and also the settlement agreement with the baykeeper. And as Connie mentioned earlier, the sewer master plan, the preparation is in progress, and the capital improvement projects that we are presenting tonight are in alignment with the draft sewer master plan. So to improve the collection system, we proposed 3 projects aimed at eliminating sanitary sewer overflows. The 3 projects are the Trenton sewer replacement, and the second project would be the Keynes to Angus sewer relief project that is located in the downtown area. And the third project is the rehabilitation and replacement of the Olympic pump station and the force main. Staff has prepared an evaluation of the alternatives for the replacement of the pump station and the force main, which will be brought forward, presented to council for discussion before we proceed with any design of this project. To improve the transmission, there is a project for the upcoming fiscal year, which we plan to improve the flow monitoring device on 7th Avenue near Shore Road at the city boundary. This project will provide a more accurate reading of the wastewater flow that will be going to the South San Francisco treatment plant. And as far as the last objective, to improve the treatment of wastewater, I think one of the projects that we propose is the joint venture of improvement of the South City wastewater treatment plant. And the first project that we plan to do is actually maybe a project of interest to Irene, which will be installation of solar panels at the treatment plant to harness the reusable solar energy. The capacity would be about 150 kilowatts, and San Bruno's share of this project is about $300,000 with a 10-year payback period. So with that, I'm open to questions.
Questions, comments regarding wastewater capital?
Through the chair.
Rico?
On a couple questions just at this time on the wastewater capital. For future, when they come back up, the Vector equipment and the video inspection truck. I brought this up before, not the video, just the Vector. Would this be a third Vector truck?
Councilmember Medina, you are absolutely right. This would be the third, and this is included in our 5-year plan, but not for this it's not for this year budget proposal, and will be our intent to further assess the need for this third Vector truck in the next year or two.
I would agree with that assessment of assessing whether we need it. I have my question. We have two, either
Correct.
both here or the second one is en route. On the video, I'm also questioning and just if and when it comes back up, the video inspection truck purchase. Whether that is a absolute necessity at, is it 215,000? Yeah.
The reason this equipment was left in our 5-year plan, this was included in our CIP plan probably 5 or 6 years ago, and was not taken out of our CIP program for the reason that staff did not entirely assess yet the future need or the best alternative for the city to address this ongoing video inspection need. As you know, this year was done the first time the video inspection of the whole system, and was presented to you at that time the need to further assess the ongoing need of the city to inspect our system after any spot repair and on ongoing basis. What is the sequence of this ongoing reinspection of our system is still under consideration, and that's the reason why it's not a staff will come back to you with the recommendation how to address in the most efficient manner this long-term need to inspect our system. In meantime, it's our intent to go out with a RFP to help with the inspection need on short-term basis.
So we would go out and contract these services as we did before.
For the short term.
Yes.
And then we'll be further assess how will be the most financially feasible and advantages for the city in long term if purchasing our own equipment or contracting out.
Okay. I'd like to have us keep on top of that. Again, I bring up the issues or concerns of vehicles versus the headcount that we have to operate them on a routine basis, whether contracting it out, because obviously once we purchase the equipment, there's the equipment reserve, there's the ongoing maintenance of that, there's all these things need to be taken into the big picture rather than the is it 400 and the 215,000. So I know it's not up for 212, 213, but 13, 14. You know, whether we contract out, whether we are sharing vehicles with another neighboring city. I just want us to look outside the box for these major purchases, which we keep going, which are obviously in the end the ratepayers pay.
Absolutely.
And if I could add on to that. It's not really clear what this vehicle is. It's a truck that's outfitted with video equipment. Is it just a van where you store the equipment, or is it something that, you know, I don't know, is there anything that we can do to help the workers in the field in between having a vehicle and having another consultant company come out? I mean, isn't there cameras that you can hand bring and just, you know, and just use so that they could get a better visual of what they're going to work on?
All of those will be further considered by us. This is a very new area for us, and I think it's important for our own staff to gain more experience. This whole video inspection was the first time. The jurisdiction around us is going through the same motion of learning how the best way to manage this. South City just purchased their own equipment. Millbrae is thinking about it. San Bruno has video capability to video inspect our laterals, but not our mains. And that's why going through the learning process and learning from the other jurisdiction around us, how they can the best manage this issue, that's how we'll be develop the information and having those alternative developed, and then make some recommendation for your consideration next year.
City manager.
If I might, it sounds like this is an area of significant interest for the City Council, so we would be prepared to bring this back as a discussion topic for the council in advance of your seeing it pop up again in the capital budget, if that's of interest to the council.
As long as it's not just a page. I mean, if it's a thorough report, I'm fine. I mean, as long as there's adequate review of analysis of the options,
Yep.
you know, from sticking your finger in there to some high-tech, state-of-the-art, you know, camera that, you know, that'll travel throughout the city.
Yeah.
And what is out there that
Yes.
that has been successful, you know, in other departments, you know, and also the frequency that we needed. I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to have something great, but then if it's only going to be used a certain amount of times, then maybe that's got to be weighed with, you know, the technician that, you know, that's the consultant, and his costs.
That work is in progress, and I think the similar question pertains to the Vector truck and what is the real frequency of its use? Why do we have two? Why do we need three? So, or why do we think we need three? So we will bring those issues back to you in a more complete report at a time next spring prior to the next budget cycle.
Anything else? Thank you, Wayne.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Oh, you're not done yet? Well, thank you for that. Now, who's
Well, we're gonna
present
switch gear.
Stormwater.
We're gonna switch gear right now. Yeah, moving on to stormwater. Well, historically, the city's ability to implement stormwater improvement projects has been compromised by the lack of funding. And preparation of an updated storm master plan is underway, and we plan to have it ready in about 4 months. This updated master plan would identify the project needs, the compliance requirement with NPDES and state regulations, also the funding needs and the funding resources. For the next fiscal year, there's one project being proposed. It is the San Antonio Stormwater Improvement Project. This area on San Antonio near San Philip and a couple of other areas further down on near San Marco, Santa Helena, Santa Ynez. These areas will be improved to mitigate the chronic flooding issues. We plan to complete this project before 2014, and that is the paving of the street is being scheduled. With that, I'm open to questions on the stormwater.
Okay. Anything on stormwater? Irene?
No, I'm just.
Okay.
I was looking at the pictures, and the house that you saw in the flooding part, I grew up across the street from it, so that was a very familiar occurrence in my childhood.
This is before, right?
Well, on the left, that's only like 2 years ago.
That's, I believe, was 2009.
9?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
3 years ago. I was close.
Yeah.
And then
But now,
this
since
is
they
the
put
one,
the
yeah.
Since then,
French,
yes.
they're French drains,
The,
right?
the trench drain
Yes.
along the curb line.
Yeah, since they put those, since you put those in, we haven't experienced any flooding like that in. So that was great.
Good. Thank you.
All right. Streets capital?
It's my intent now to take you above ground and just to keep you up above ground. And the reason why Mark and Wing presented those three service areas is that they are also the project managers for the master plan for water, sewer, and stormwater. The priorities for street capital were driven by public safety and quality of life concern. Our streets has three major elements: pavement, sidewalk, and street lights. For pavement, you heard our update presentation at the last council meeting on the updated pavement condition and the difference investment alternative in our pavement. This proposed CIP represents the 0.8 level of investment level in our pavement. What you will see next year, you will see difference treatment on 36 of our city streets. The other element, the sidewalk of street capital, also you see this project included in the proposed program, is the last year of the 6th-year sidewalk program approved by you back in 2008. This is the last year of that 6-year time period, and how it's included in our proposed plan. All of the known deficient, all of the known sidewalk deficiencies will be addressed as part of this next upcoming contract. For the street light, staff heard your desire and direction to address this major issue for the city. And very shortly, staff will come back to you with a presentation how to address the aspect of light intensity, energy savings, and also reliability of our system. It's my assumption that this presentation will take place in the next 2 months or so. Very extensive work already was done on this project. Ray Razavi is the project manager, and it's our intent to bring a comprehensive update and to provide you with some feasible and reasonable alternative how to move on this project. I will just mention for street capital that our streets are funded through special revenue funds, in essence, mostly by special revenue funds, which the transportation funding is some kind of enterprise fund, but still has some funding gaps, mostly for pavement rehabilitation and also street light. There are many possible funding alternatives if you want to further consider those, including, I will just mention one which never came up during our prior discussion, is to borrow against the gas tax itself and to invest more now in our system. One other project I want to mention is the Great Separation Project. How is included the Great Separation Project in your proposed CIP program is with a reduced funding to the loss of the redevelopment funds, and no funding is included. No funding is included in this proposal for any funding for the gateway construction. And this concludes my presentation on the street. And if you have any questions.
Questions on streets capital? Okay.
Elaborate a little more on the Skyline Boulevard widening and what is our responsibility on that?
This project was approved by the TA board, and the first phase of the feasibility study for the widening of 35 is included in the Measure A funding package. And next year, I am assuming that the work effort on our part will be to develop a agreement with TA on the funding agreement, defining our role and their role, and will be limited to development of the agreement and also some very beginning of the collaboration on the feasibility study.
Okay, so just basically administrative and
Yes, yes.
coordination, and
Coordination.
the state will handle the rest.
They are the lead agency. They will be responsible for the design, but the city has to have a strong role making sure that this was proposed by us, that our interest will be represented in this project.
Okay. Cable capital.
You can. You can.
Our cable capital program is largely the responsibility of Al Johnson, our system engineer, but I will deliver the report. But Al's here to answer any questions as well. So, yeah, I know you know. So. Yeah, I know. Good evening, Mayor and Council. On page 55 of the report, the Cable Department has historically identified 3 major capital project categories for the 5-year work plan. The primary focus now will be on the cable services equipment replacement project to meet the needs of customers and to provide reliable cable delivered service to our subscribers. On page 56, you'll see that this year's capital budget includes several items for digital support for the head-end facility. These include equipment upgrades for current reception and delivery of cable channels. The equipment, namely streaming equipment modules and modular processing systems. I'm not going to go into those details now, but that's what receives the channels, encrypts them, scrambles them, if you will, so that we can put them on the system and enable customers who are paying for those services to receive those services. So we have that equipment, we're using that equipment, but it does need to be upgraded. So we have two projects that we'll be bringing forward this year to explore that. The cable department also employs a device called a DAC. It's a digital addressable controller, and several years ago, I'm not sure how many years ago, you approved that purchase as a capital improvement, and we've been using it successfully. And we don't have to pay any fees to anybody else because we now have this equipment and able to use it on our own. But there is an upgrade that we're looking to do, and this equipment addresses the converter box in your home. Turns on HBO, turns on pay-per-view, packages, services, if you order them. And this equipment also talks to every box we have. There's some software that's available that will allow us to use a smaller box. The nice thing about the smaller box is it can be put behind a television set. So it can be discrete and it can still operate as the ones you have today, except there's no guide. Why that's important is that it works really well for hotels. And we've been approached by several hotels asking for a solution for their HD television sets, and they no longer want to have a standard converter in their room because they get taken and the remotes get missing and that type of thing. And this will allow us to deploy those types of boxes in hotels and even in second or third bedrooms in subscriber homes too in the future if we want to go that route. So that's a project we'll be bringing to you. We have also included purchases of high definition and high definition digital video recorders to replenish supplies. The last city council meeting you approved a smaller purchase of those for us, and we may be coming back in a few months to purchase the rest. We'll see how that project goes. We are proposing an expenditure for a new replacement generator for our head end facility where we receive all the signals and process them and send them out to customers. We have a generator there. It is working, but it's difficult to find parts for it. It's been recommended by the folks who maintain it every month that we should look at replacing it, and so we'll be bringing a project at some point for you there. On page 58, you'll see the commercial services project. The only expenditures noted at this time would be for additional units if we need to add new customers in facilities that don't have what they call an ME, which is a device, a switch device. And if we don't have one in a facility already, we would need to purchase one. But currently, we have adequate switches. And currently, we have 17 fiber-delivered internet access business customers. So it's direct fiber to their office. We have 17 of those customers. 3 of them have VoIP service, and it generates about $14,000 monthly just for those services. As intimated in the slide, the current cable capital program does not include the system upgrade nor the fiber to the home program. The cable department, namely Al, has been exploring several options to rebuild the cable plant. He has done a lot of work looking at fiber, looking at other types of systems and what we need to do, what we have to do, what we should do, type of thing. And it's not included in the capital budget because we still have more exploration to do, but we will be going to the subcommittee and then we will ask the council for direction as well. So you'll see that come to you at a later time. That includes the cable overview of our capital program, and Al and I are here to answer questions.
Ken?
Give an update on just what your assessment is of the commercial data and voice services. I mean, it seemed like it was something that was about to, explode positively, but it appears that it's not as getting off the ground as.
The biggest issue,
well
you're right, Councilman. The biggest issue I think is that we need to do more marketing. We need to have a salesperson. We need to push that product with, a hands-on approach We've done direct mail pieces. Al and I have visited offices. Tenzin visited offices when he was here. We've dropped letters off, but I think we just need to have more aggressive campaign to visit these folks and talk to their IT people. A lot of times we talk to the managers and they say, oh, it sounds good, I'll take the paperwork, but we really need to get to the IT person. We really need to get to the right person. And we've got a call from Google last month, very positive feedback from them. We already do give them some service, but I think we need more aggressive at doing that.
Should we get our IT guy out there in the field? Get him out
I
in the-
agree.
in
I
the
think it's
back
an
room?
excellent
Yeah.
suggestion. I will.
Get out there in the field, so.
Now you got two guys coming after me. Okay. Yeah. No, and we, as part of the budget this year, Kim and Connie had recommended that we include a marketing piece, possibly a part-time person, a salesperson, and that is something we will pursue for that reason.
I just don't want us to miss the boat of someone else coming in here and, taking it away. You get the big companies that can come out with the.
One advantage that we have, when we do, is we have quite a few. I mean, I mentioned 17 direct fiber, but we have others that aren't direct fiber. So we do have a lot of other business customers. But one of the things that's been our plus is that folks call us and we can have service up in a week, where telcos take 2 to 3 weeks. So there's been very good feedback from the customers that we've started up, but we need to be more aggressive with that.
Thank you.
Anything else on cable? Miriam, maybe you should pen to Al so everybody knows there really is an Al. That's Al Johnson, there he is. Thank you. Technology Capital.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just insert for just a moment. Unfortunately, I have another issue of city business that needs my attention, so I am going to excuse myself, but I will, if you wanted to come later, we can leave I can leave the staff work in the finance director's very capable hands, and if you need me, I'm right across the hall. Thank you.
As you know, the City of San Bruno has used Microsoft Office 2000 for the past 12 years for our daily tasks. Microsoft has released 5 different versions of the Office suite in the past 12 years. Although my department has installed converters on the city network to allow these applications and documents to open, it's becoming increasingly difficult for our staff to work on documents received by individuals and other outside agencies. My research has shown that all San Mateo County cities have migrated off of Microsoft Office Suite to later versions of the Office Suite, mainly 2007 and Office 2010. At this point, upgrading to the latest Office Suite will alleviate many of these issues encountered by our staff and give them the tools to make them efficient in their daily tasks. On-site training is also included in this project so that we can take advantage of all the features of the new suite. Unfortunately, breaking news for a CIP project, Microsoft just announced Office 2013, release date January 2013. They have not given us pricing for that product yet, so the funding request here is based on the Office 2010 pricing scheme. And that concludes my presentation for Office Suite. I welcome any questions.
Anything? Irene?
I'm assuming you're going to wait until 2000 and look at the 2013, right?
Yeah,
So this is
we
more of
are. We are going to wait. We are planning another Citrix upgrade around the same time frame, January or first quarter of 2013. And hopefully, if the initial reports come back that it's stable, we can incorporate that into the new version of Citrix.
Okay. Thank you.
Michael?
Chair, thank you. Eric, what pricing model does the city use for the software licensing from Microsoft? Are we buying individual licenses for each desktop, or do we get, is it an enterprise type agreement?
We do volume licensing. We get a discount because we are a government entity. One thing we don't do is software assurance, which means you pay a larger fee up front, you pay a fee each year, and if the software version changes, you are entitled to that new version. We've been pretty fortunate. We haven't upgraded in 12 years, or we probably would have paid over $100,000 in software assurance fees. But normally the volume licensing for government entities.
And the desktops that are deployed right now, what operating system are they running?
The majority of our operating systems of our office are XP Pro.
XP.
Yeah.
And
The newer machines are now Windows 7 Pro.
Right. And XP is end of life already, so I'm wondering, is the new software going to be, is it going to require newer operating systems and increases in memory, larger hard drives?
Well, the main thrust of the licensing that we're purchasing is going to be for network use, which means you would log into Citrix. We accounted for a few extra seats for upper management because they're mobile, they have laptops and so forth, and possibly city council, depends on how we want to distribute the software. But the anyone lower or anyone that's mid-managed or below, they will be working off the network, and we will not install the new Office suite on individual PCs.
It'll all be on Citrix.
Yeah, they can either use the converters or stick with Office 2000, which is already installed. Newer machines that we purchased, the Windows 7 machines, now come pre-installed with a starter kit with Office 2010. So there's no need to install an Office suite on the new machines we're purchasing.
Okay, thank you.
Rico?
Okay, next, my next presentation will be for the installation of fire suppression systems. Currently, there are no fire suppression systems in the City Hall data center, the cable TV server room, and the cable TV head-in has an outdated halon fire suppression system. As you know, an undetected fire or excessive heat in any of these locations would not only destroy our critical equipment, but would threaten the surrounding areas and possibly cause bodily harm. An example, a fire at the cable TV head end would be devastating. It would cut off all cable TV broadcasting, all internet service, and disrupt their phone service to all cable TV customers. That's why it's so critical that these fire suppression systems are installed. Integrated into our existing fire network, the new system, the new proposed system will trigger alarms for smoke, fire, or excessive heat. If an actual activation occurs, a clean agent will be dispersed to extinguish the fire and automatically turn off power to the room. We've chosen the clean agent solution for several reasons. One, it's safe for staff or fire safety personnel to be in a room where a clean agent has been dispersed. It's more effective than halon. Halon they discontinued in 1994, although many locations still have a halon fire suppression system, like the cable TV head-in. Clean agents have a 0 ozone depletion rate and have no global warming potential. And also, the clean agents will not harm our electronic equipment if it's dispersed. Water, electronic equipment, they don't mix very well most times. So with so much at stake, this fire suppression system project will help safeguard our crucial business assets. And again, I welcome any questions.
Any more questions at this time? Michael?
Chair? I'm wondering, when we talk about building out the data center, why would we do that versus just pushing everything out to the cloud? Why not just have all our stuff remotely located somewhere in a proper facility, a co-location facility that's up-to-date, modern, and managed by someone else?
I can answer that now. We're in the disaster recovery portion, but I'll answer it now because you asked it now. Well, the cloud is two different things. You have a co-location, which you can house all of your equipment, or you have a cloud. Cloud, for the most part, would be used for data, backing up your data. But now that we're so far integrated with the phone system, we have to be where the cable TV phone system is located also. I'll identify that in my disaster recovery presentation, that we will be located at Police Plaza, which is on a direct fiber ring for the rest of our network. we have to be, in order for us to work, or our network to run, we have to be on the same network as our phone system.
Okay, all right.
Hope
I'll
that,
let
did that
you
answer your
finish.
question fully?
I'll let you finish and then I'll go back to it.
Okay, sure.
Anything else? All right, go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay, I'll go on to my final presentation, which is disaster recovery. But before I begin, I'll make a distinction between, again, the fire suppression system and the disaster recovery system. The fire suppression system is to extinguish a fire in any of those locations. Our disaster recovery project is designed to protect our data and allow our technology, business processes, and services to continue if a catastrophic event takes our data center downstairs offline. That's just the difference in those two. They're two completely different projects and different functions. Although there are nightly backups of the city's data, there's no comprehensive disaster recovery system in place. If a catastrophic event occurred in our data center, at risk are, of course, all of our data, all software applications, and the phone system. All would be unavailable, and it would completely cut off communication between the city facilities, outside agencies, and our citizens. Again, no access to our software, no data, no phone service, no access to email until the system was restored and the computer equipment was repaired. Recovery time would be days or even weeks. I know that not receiving email sounds great in theory, but it doesn't really work. Okay, so so this project replaces our critical components and will duplicate our networking equipment, our software applications, and it will back up our data at the disaster recovery site at Police Plaza. Yet the project will not only back up our data and duplicate the equipment, but if required, the site will become a temporary and fully functional data center to ensure that our city businesses processes continue. And it will stay online until the current, our existing data center comes back online or is recovered. Go to the next slide. So the project plan includes the replacement of an end-of-life storage system with a storage system that has 3 times the space. The storage system holds all of the city data. It also holds all of our 29 virtual servers. That includes email, our databases, public folders. Any server we have is housed in that storage system. Also, we're going to replace our 3 aging virtual machine host servers. The host servers are the processing brains for the 29 servers. We're going to take those 3 servers and relocate them to the disaster recovery site at Police Plaza. And a second storage system will be in place at this disaster recovery site also. This second storage system will synchronize or update and back up our server images and the city data from the City Hall data center. It will just be moving back and forth. We could back up our data every 30 minutes, every hour, every 4 hours, or on demand, whatever schedule we decide. And one of the benefits of the new system, a routine restore of data will take seconds, no longer hours. Backups now take 12 hours each night, starts at 6 and ends about 6:15 in the morning. They will take maybe 20 to 30 minutes, which is a huge improvement and makes everything more efficient. And as I mentioned earlier, if required, the disaster recovery site at Police Plaza will become a fully operational data center to allow our business processes to continue. Software applications and the phone system. And again, the system would stay online until the City Hall data center recovers. And we will continue to send and receive email. So that concludes the presentation portion, and I welcome any questions.
Through the chair?
Any further questions?
All right, so you're proposing eliminating the tape backups and merely replicating the data over to the police station?
That's correct. We would replicate the data. We'll keep the tape backup system online, maybe for historical purposes. But yeah, the backup replication will be done between the 2 storage systems.
Okay. But so you lose essentially the functionality. Without the tapes, you don't have an ability to recover deleted files. Deletes get replicated as well. So there's a level of functionality that you.
Well, not to get too technical, the new storage system has what they call snapshots, and that's a snapshot, a place and time of our data.
Is that a net app that we're looking at there?
That's the only image I could find.
Okay. Okay.
I should have put a City of San Bruno sticker on that, but I couldn't cover it. So we'll take snapshots. The systems are normally standardized to take up to 10,000 snapshots. Again, depending on how much storage space you have.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you don't need that much, but you can take snapshots of your data from 3 months ago, 4 months ago. And we'll also, as we do now, we'll archive data on a monthly basis based on our records retention program.
So something else I wonder when we talk about disaster recovery. So say, for example, City Hall is offline, not just the data center, but I imagine if there was a disaster that caused the data center to go down, say there's no power to this portion of the city, the police station is still up, our servers are up so that are basically the backbone for everything exists there. However, people that sit here, all the telephones are here, they still have nothing to connect to because there's no power here, even though the back end is there. The front end is still missing. There's nowhere for people to sit over there. So, I mean, there's another step to disaster recovery. So even though we have data up, there's still a whole component that doesn't get addressed. And I'm glad that we're taking a step forward, but without understanding how the rest of it is going to happen, how we facilitate the rest of it, I'm wondering if maybe we need to at least have a plan on how we're going to get there.
Right, we have that plan. One thing I may have skipped through, or maybe not have mentioned it at all. Also at the disaster recovery site at Police Plaza will be other networking components to mimic our firewall, our data switches, our phone switch, and our remote access. The connectivity at Police Plaza is fiber going different directions. So if one fiber is cut, data, and it's happened before, because we were testing, data automatically reroutes to a different direction. So it's redundancy there. So the additional components will allow remote access for all the users. The other locations will stay up and running. If other locations have fiber cut, the remote access equipment will allow them, if they have air cards or any type of internet access, to log into the network.
What happens to the EOC?
I don't know, Randy, what would happen to the EOC? That's not a part of this disaster recovery. This covers only the data center downstairs.
But if that data center goes offline, the EOC goes offline?
No, not necessarily. At the EOC, I designed it for different connectivity. We have cable TV, internet. I designed a DSL line also. So if we lose cable, it automatically reroutes to the DSL. DSL reroutes to the cable TV line. Same with the phone system. We have the cable TV or our Cisco phone system, but I also put analog AT&T phones down there in case we lose one.
Perfect.
And same thing with broadcast. We have cable TV broadcast. There's a bidirectional antenna on this building pointing at Central Tower. So we'll always have high definition channels if cable TV, we lose their broadcast signal.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
To the chair. Mine will be very, very quick and simple, more to the finance director. Well, I can't compete with that. Though also to the council members' point, if we were to be out of the EOC in City Hall, even with all the redundancies and backup, if it were a local event, as we experienced with the disaster, the county is set up and prepared, and they actually have new apparatuses of it just rolls in, and there's setups for linking up all the things that we do need. However, if it's a more county-wide major earthquake, then obviously that resource would not be available just for the city of San Bruno. To the finance director, from my memory, and maybe I'm wrong, I thought we already had discussed this prior. I thought it was already in progress, or because I know this is not a new topic, and so I'm just trying to not only do we always remember correctly when things have come up. So was this something that was maybe not allocated, or was it already allocated or brought up in a prior CIP or budget?
You're correct. We did not find it as a project that had previously appeared in a CIP budget. However, we all do recall an extensive discussion at a previous CIP budget study session in which disaster recovery as a general topic was discussed. However, we could not find that a project had ever been brought forward for council action previously.
Good, so my memory's still okay. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Eric.
Okay, thank you.
Parks and Facilities Capital.
Go this way.
Three more outs. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members.
While we're on Park and Rec. So.
Three more, absolutely. So the ball field report is as follows. No. The city's facilities replacement project on page 67 of the 5-year CIP budget includes a listing of the city's major facilities. This list was pulled together to begin a projection of significant improvements to those facilities, such as painting, roofing, HVAC needs, flooring improvements, etc. Staff will develop more detailed information and cost estimates for future council consideration. But the intent is for the long-term maintenance of all of those facilities to figure out what the ongoing costs are going to be and come up with a plan of how to fund those that we do not have at this point. I would also mention that the Crestmore Neighborhood Reconstruction Project is listed in the Parks and Facilities section of the CIP budget because those items have come forward several times recently. We will not be addressing that project tonight, but staff is here and would be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding that portion of the CIP budget. The Parks and Facilities CIPs for 2012-13 include the painting of City Hall, the library, and Fire Station 51. That information will be coming to you, I believe, in November. The second project that will be done this year, or we are assuming will be done this year, is the final ADA improvements to the downstairs portion of the library. That is the restroom ADA improvement. It is being done with some county grant funds, and our information shows that the county cycle should allow us to complete it within the year. We should be back to you probably in November, December with an agreement between the city and the county. Two design projects placed in this year's budget include the seismic and roofing improvements to Fire Station 52 and the planning and design work for a phased project at the Public Works Corporation Yard that will increase both worksite safety and efficiency. And as the city manager mentioned a little bit earlier, the city has done extensive planning of its underground and its infrastructure, but that level of master planning has not included city facilities. City facilities such as public safety, administration, community recreation programs. In 2002, a plan was developed to replace the swimming pool in City Park. A plan was developed in 2006 for a new library. And as Kim mentioned, the defunding of the city master plan, facilities master plan that was originally discussed in 2008. Future identified city facilities in need of either replacement or major repair include the pool, the library, and then the modernization projects for the Public Works Yard. And with that, staff is happy to answer any questions you may have at this time regarding the parks and facilities, or receive any feedback that you may have on the future improvement projects or funding options.
All right. Ken?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Fire Station 52 is basically a house.
Yes.
$20,000 evaluation for seismic. I'm just questioning what could that entail? It's a one-story house.
I would like if Ray, you would answer. You were more directly involved with the project specifics.
Council members, Mr. Mayor.
And
I'm
you
Ray
can
Basari
slap me
Jackson.
around if I'm acting
No,
out of line, because
that's
I mean, I'm
totally a valid
yeah.
question. This is a safety issue. This is an essential facility for the city. It's different than a house. A house is basically should be designed for the purpose of withstanding an earthquake, but necessarily be operating after an earthquake. In other words, earthquake comes in, nobody should get hurt in a house, but that doesn't mean necessarily that's could be occupied after an earthquake. The fire station is an essential facility, so it's a much higher standard than a house. And that fire facility needs to operate during and after an earthquake. So that means that, for example, the openings that you have in the fire apparatus that goes in, you have to have a seismically braced opening, for example, such as a braced frame, a moment frame, which is made of I-beam that's in deep foundations that has to be designed for that purpose. So this fire station regulation is much higher than a house. Okay. What you're referring to is we're looking at a consultant that it's actually the total contract with the consultant is about $13,000 to $14,000. The rest is the project management to actually see what needs to be done. This fire station is only a few feet from a fault. So it's very important for us to understand what kind of impact the fault has on the fire station, what kind of improvements are they proposing for it, and how much that improvement would cost us before we actually go out and try to design and construct it, so that we won't waste any time with that. It is possible that we come back with different alternatives on how to address this, and the alternative analysis is part of the study that you're referring to.
Okay. Very clear. Thank you very much.
Anything else?
Through the chair.
Rico?
Randy, on the corporation yard facility improvement, does that also include the restroom facility there? Please.
It does include the restrooms, the locker room facilities, yes.
Some of those, seeing those and being in there, it's they do need improvement. And then you had already mentioned I would say, as far as remains a high priority as far as us remodeling and or replacement of full is the library, fire station 51, and the swimming pool. Is that correct?
I did not mention Fire Station 51 in there, but the swimming pool and the library are definitely on that list.
Would we say the fire station is also? Or maybe the finance director? Or
I have not done
deputy director?
I've not
wants
seen
to comment on that.
Fire Station 51.
Well, yes, was some prior discussion to replace Fire Station 51, and that would be further defined if need to be replaced or not, depending also the cost of rehabilitation and improvement of the station, and the master plan would address all of those long-term needs.
Good. Good. Okay.
Your presentation is done. Before you leave, I just want to bring something up. I stopped at a stoplight at El Camino, and I was looking up, and I looked at our gateway signs on San Mateo Avenue. Really bad shape. And I mean, that's the southern sign, so I didn't pay attention to the one at the northern end of San Mateo Avenue. But I think we at least some, cosmetic repairs, because I mean, I never noticed how bad it really looks. And so if there's something that we could do in a short term.
We'll check
Yeah.
it tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Will this be on the agenda on the 23rd?
Yes, it is planned for a public hearing on the 23rd.
Okay.
Just one final comment.
Yes.
One thing that's been brought up, I've brought up over the time, and I know it was brought up, I believe, last year. I think Councilmember O'Connell and I even brought it up, was the Bayshore Circle. As just far as that stretch that's been there, and as far as what could be done or couldn't be done to increasing parking, and because that lot obviously is, nobody really wants to take care of it. However, that's been an ongoing thing. I can remember sitting here last November asking that, asking that question, and me prior to that. Thank you.
Irene?
Thank you. Refresh my memory on that. We don't own it, right? Was that part of the difficulties?
That's an easy
It-
answer.
It's BART property. It was part of the spur track,
That Bart doesn't want it.
and they still have the maintenance responsibility, although city staff is doing the maintenance because BART is not.
Okay.
We are trying to make contact and trying to work out something better with them.
Have they expressed a reason why they want to keep it? I mean, have we asked them to give it to us? Because there is a law that says surplus property of a public agency can be turned over to another public agency if they show a higher and better use for it. So maybe
Those
Thank you.
discussions were going through the city manager's office. We can prepare a report and bring that back to you at your next council meeting.
I'd like to. I'd love to make that our 100-year anniversary park or something. That area down there is lacking in so much, and I think that would be something really beautiful to even connect it to the South City walking linear park that ends right across the street from it. So that would be something wonderful to do. Thank you for bringing it up, Rico. I've had lost it in my notes.
Anything else? All right. Meeting's adjourned till October 23rd at the Senior Center. Thank you.